I am so lucky to be here today with Charmaine Conaghan with Always Best Care. Thank you for coming today. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking.
I know that you do at-home care,
Mm-hmm.
but I just tell us a little bit about Charmaine and how you got to Always Best Care.
Oh, it was a journey that I was not expecting to go on. About 14 years ago, my husband and I were looking to do something together. He was looking for a career change. I was at home raising our 5 children. Our youngest was 5 years old at the time, and we discovered Always Best Care. And so many things about Always Best Care just checked my boxes. It was, you know, helping people, making a difference in the world. In my former career, I remember one morning waking up and thinking, I'm doing nothing to improve anything in this world right now. And
So
why am
5
I so
kids.
stressed out about this job? Not my kids, my
Right.
my professional career before.
Right.
And I just realized if I'm going to go back into the workforce, I really want to make a living and make a difference at the same time. As cheesy as that sounds, that's really
No, spot on.
that's really what drove the decision to join Always Best Care.
Nice. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about the services you offer, because I know it's at-home care is what most people in our circles think about with you, but I know that you're my go-to for so many other things
Yeah,
when
thank
we
you.
come across these situations. And so can you just cover a little bit about your services?
We provide in-home care with caregivers who are our employees, our W-2 trained and supervised employees. We also help people with figuring out where they can move if they need to move to a senior community. Independent living, assisted living, memory care. If they need to move or want to move, it is very confusing trying to do that by yourself, navigating that world. There's so many different levels of care and price points, and there's a new senior building going up every 5 minutes, it seems. So we do help with that. We do that on a referral basis. So we are paid by the community that the senior moves into. We do not charge the family a dime,
Right.
and we personally tour them. So it's a lot of fun. We call them placements, but that is one aspect of our business that we really enjoy doing. But our bigger share of our business is the caregiving piece.
Okay.
Most of our business is going in and helping people with things such as bathing and dressing. We do a lot of dementia care. We have a lot of dementia training, so we know what we're doing. We can help people with their environment, light housekeeping, laundry, meal preparation, errands, things of that nature. So we really make life easier for people who just need a little bit of help or a lot of help getting through their day.
Right. That's awesome. I know that you've been really helpful to me when I come across people. Sometimes people will come to me about moving, and I say, they shouldn't move. Instead, they need to just kind of figure out how to have a little bit of help and stay. You had touched on certifications, and I know that that's big in what we do or what you do. So can you talk about certifications? I know for brokers, we need 12 hours of continuing ed every 2 years. A lot of our training, I shouldn't say, but is on the fly within each transaction. But what's like formal training? What does that look like?
So I
Just
can tell you about
certification.
2 types. So
Okay.
for myself as the business owner, I am a certified senior advisor, and I have to renew my my certification every 3 years. I'm also a certified dementia practitioner, and that also has to be renewed on a regular basis. So I do have that background and that training. There's also an
That's
ethics.
large.
Yes, and there's an ethics piece to that too. You have to understand what are the do's and don'ts in any situation. You have to have, they check your background and things like that. So for myself, that's what I have, and some of my office staff also have those certifications. And our caregivers undergo dementia training and other training. So we have, I think it's 13 and a half hours of initial training for every caregiver that we hire, whether they have experience, or actually we only hire people with experience, but whether
Right.
they have a few years of experience or 30 years of experience, they still have to be trained.
Right.
That is a state requirement. We also offer annual training. So that's 12 hours. So it's 13 your first year, and then every year after that you're undergoing training. So it's a lot of training.
It is a lot of training.
Yeah, and we also have in the field training if someone is using a mechanical lift and they know how to use it, but it's been a few years. We have a couple of CNAs in my office who, in addition to their office work, they have that CNA certification. They can run out and help that caregiver through any refreshers.
Hurdles, right?
Yes.
Right. I'm a hospice volunteer, and I just
Yes,
know that,
I remember that.
a CNA assist. So
Yeah.
I like the assist part, that I
Yes.
know that there's a whole group of people I can call in to say, wait a second, will you remind me what it is?
Right.
So talk to me about families, because not only is it a loved one, it's families that are involved in this as well, that want to keep their loved one at home, or deciding to move or to stay.
Or they want the best for their family member,
Absolutely.
whether it's staying at home or it's moving.
Right.
They want the for most of them, all of them,
Right.
they want the best for their loved one. We encounter so many different dynamics.
Right.
Oh my goodness, it's very hard to talk in generalities about families, but.
Right. Communication with
we
them.
like to have one point of contact. We call that the wellness contact. So that's the person we're calling if we are doing a supervisory visit and they need to hear some of the things that we've discovered, because we do supervisory visits regularly. When we have someone who is a client who has some memory loss, we will generally run schedule changes by their wellness contact.
Okay.
We're also very aware of dignity and respecting our clients. So just because you have memory loss, that doesn't mean I'm going to go over your head and not talk to you about things. That just means I'm going to tell you about what's going on or talk you through it, but I'm also going to call your wellness contact. Right? Or if you, as our client with memory loss, if you call the office and say, well, I don't want my caregiver to come tomorrow because of X, Y, or Z, that's fine. We'll happy to talk to you. We'll take your information and we'll call your wellness contact to verify that that is indeed, what needs to happen.
Agreement, right.
So we definitely are maintaining the respect and the dignity, but also verifying.
Yeah, I knew I loved you. So, process, right? And our process, I think, when working with families is never the same. You were just
never.
saying it's all. I mean, the dynamic is different, and who's involved is different, and who's the lead is different. So, talk to me a little bit about process. Like somebody calls and says, well, help essentially, but talk to me a little bit about the process, if you can.
So the process, I will say, usually I am heavily involved in that process because, at the beginning of my career, when we opened the agency, it was me, and me doing everything, right? But as you grow, you can hire people to help you with things. I've got a full office staff, and as you grow, you can choose what tasks to keep and what tasks to delegate. And the tasks that I have held very tightly onto, maybe some would say too tightly to, is the onboarding process, the intake process. I like to be the one answering those intake calls, because if I have a family member calling the office, chances are they're very stressed out.
Right.
And they're not calling on a lark, right? They're stressed out, they're scared even. And I just like to talk them through it. I like to talk them off the ledge if I can. So we start with that first phone call, and I give them as much time as they need. Those first phone calls can be 3 minutes. Hey, what's your pricing? Sometimes people just want information, and sometimes they want to talk about the problem that they're facing for an hour, and that's fine. So the first phone call then will turn into what we call a meet and greet. I will go out, if at all possible, and physically meet with the family, meet with the client to be. we can do, if they decide in that moment that they want to move forward with us, I always have paperwork with me. We can do our onboarding process in that meeting. I find that it's a little overwhelming for people to do that. Sometimes the situation demands it. If you know someone's getting discharged in 12 hours, we need to do what we have to do. But if we have the luxury, I will actually have the meet and greet, and then we'll do the onboarding.
Okay.
And that can be really, it can be in person, or it can be by phone. So I'll but I always do it with them. I never hand people, here's the contract, there you go, send it to me.
Yeah.
Ever.
Right.
Because I need to hear all the background information that goes into what I'm writing down. I learn about our clients as we're doing this process. So as I said, I would do it in person or I do it by phone. I'm jotting down all the answers in my terrible handwriting, and then I'm scanning all of those documents and, doing the e-sign highlights and sending it off to them. So either way, we're getting really good information, and we're happy to do either process.
I like the in-person also because I find that you learn a lot about the dynamic. You learn a lot about what's important to a client, to a customer, and it's...
And I can see them. I can see if they're trying to get up out of it. I can see if they can pop out of the chair like a Pop-Tart.
Right.
Or I can see if they're really struggling. I mean, I like to see
all the nuances
and the dynamics between the family members.
Right.
There's a lot you can kind of observe
Glean.
when you're in person. But, the pandemic taught us that we have to be flexible, and I got really good at phone assessments. So,
yeah. So I know what makes you... like different and special, just in terms of we had involvement with the Glenview Chamber and other organizations that we are a part of. But what's one thing that you like about what you do, or that just stands out against other companies?
I would actually go back to what I said about being involved. One of my staff members said to me a couple of years ago, you're the only agency owner that I know who does all of this. You do all of the onboarding. I mean, I introduce the caregiver to their client on the first day of care and sit down with them and go through their care plan. So I guess it's my involvement from that first phone call all the way through the process.
I will agree with you.
Yeah,
one of the things that I love is that, as you said,
I need people to feel safe.
In the beginning, when you were talking about how it was me, and then me, and me. That's one of the things that I've enjoyed in getting to know you over the years. Just that you know all facets and all aspects. And if it's not something you do or have an answer, you will get an answer. And that's why...
that is actually, and I wrote that on my welcome message on my website. Even if I can't help you, if you can't, if you don't have the resources to pay for our services, if it's out of my scope, we are licensed by the state of Illinois. There are things we're not allowed to do. If it's out of my scope, if for whatever reason we can't help you, I will find someone to help you, and I do. I have built up a pretty good network over the years of people who I know can be a good resource for folks when they need help.
Wonderful. So that's a great segue. If somebody wanted to talk with you further, how would they find you?
Please call my office at 847-730-5930. You can go on my website. There's a chat feature. You can engage with our chat feature on there, and we'll get a message that way. Email.
Wonderful. What's the website?
It is seniorcarenorthshore.com.
Wonderful. Good.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
I really
my gosh.
appreciate seeing you today.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
This was a pleasure. Thank
Thanks.
you.